Hey everybody, Andrew Morgan at the CyberCall, joined with my co-host Wes Spencer. Wes, how you doing?
Doing awesome, as always.
Awesome to see you. Hey, we are joined with a mutual friend, good friend of yours, Forrest Carver of MITRE. Forrest, how are you?
Fantastic. How are you?
Good, man. Thank you so much for joining us. Hey, for those of you out there that are listening that may not know MITRE, Forrest, you're a cybersecurity engineer. You do a lot there. I know you have like some principal roles, but can you get people on the fairway of what MITRE is?
Sure. Yep. MITRE is one of kind of several federally funded research and development centers, or FFRDCs. And basically what that means is we principally only work for the federal government. We're all mandated to be not-for-profit. We're not allowed to have any commercial interests. And so there's this very like industry independence perspective. And our whole role is to either help the government kind of right up front do an independent assessment of what they need. In this case, for my work, kind of in a cybersecurity realm, or if they already have some very cybersecurity products or there's efforts underway, frequently provide independent analysis, independent advice, recommendations to the government, comparing, contrasting options, things of that nature. So a lot of nerdy work, a lot of times analysis, a lot of white papers, some modeling, simulation of things, but ultimately making those recommendations to the government on the right thing to do.
Very cool. That might be them right now calling you.
Yeah, I apologize. I'm going to kill that. My FaceTime's got a call coming in.
That's okay. Wes, why don't you take it from here? Talk a little bit about what we're going to be digging into on the CyberCall with Forrest.
Yeah, so first, Forrest, thanks for joining us. Anyone who doesn't know, Forrest and I are good friends. We chat often, and you even spoke at our PerchiCon, which was super cool. So, Forrest, I think most of our audience knows what MITRE ATT&CK is. Maybe some know what like Shield is, but they don't know what you do, which is sort of inside of the threat-informed defense. Can you kind of talk about what you do in your role and where you work embedded in MITRE for a minute?
Sure. Yeah. So my kind of 2 feet, one on one side, one on the other. But MITRE historically has only done that work that I talked about just previously. That's kind of government-facing work, and we kind of realized that we do a lot of work around recruiting and retaining kind of experts in various fields, cybersecurity being one of them, so we can give the government a lot of quality and make sure they have the right insight that they need. But we didn't really work enough directly with industry. That was always our mandate, was to be the bridge between the government and academia and industry. But because of that independence, we weren't doing a lot of direct work with industry. And so within the last year, MITRE created the Center for Threat-Informed Defense to allow us to really collaborate directly with industry on research, primarily focused on cybersecurity, taking things like the attack framework and so forth, and then really operationalizing that in a way that's much more practically relevant to everyone out in the community. And so the Center for Threat-Informed Defense is still not for profit. We're still not doing any commercial work. It's very still research, applied research focused, but we're collaborating with industry on that, where industry can bring to us the real hard problems from their perspective. We work that collaboratively, and then we release that publicly to the global community. So it still is true to our mandate that it's for the global good, and it's solving hard problems, ultimately trying to make the entire world safer. But the Center for Threat-Informed Defense specifically is focused on what it says, threat-informed defense. So what are we really seeing out there in cyber threat intelligence? What APTs are out there? Which industry verticals are they targeting? What TTPs do they use? And as we learn more and more about the adversary, how do we take that information to really practically improve defensive measures, whether that's helping you assess yourself, shore up your own defenses, build targeted analytics or detections. How can we help build kind of those very easily followable, intuitive processes that anywhere from a large business to a small business could take that almost right off the shelf and put it into their environment. So that's what we're doing.
That's what's so exciting is, MSPs have come under attack, starting with APT-10, going into groups like GanCrab, going into the modern era today with Egregor and Ryuk and Soden. I mean, we've seen MSP after MSP be significantly attack, them and all their clients, what Perch calls a buffalo jump attack. And so that's why we're really excited to have you on, is to talk more from an adversary perspective and give some insight, because MSPs are very hungry to know who is my enemy and what do I need to do to be best prepared against that. And so very excited to have you on and speak from all of that. And I guess the last question I have is, we're going to be peppering you with questions around adversary emulation and how bad guys like to act and how we can use that in our own defenses. Can you just give us 30 seconds of why someone would want to join the CyberCall to hear more about that topic of adversary emulation?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think, a lot of us are familiar with vulnerability scans. We're familiar with patching. We're familiar with like maybe PCI compliance or other kind of regulatory compliance efforts. Definitely like the DFARS compliance and the NIST 853 and 171, right? People are beginning to be familiar with all that. That's all critical, right? Patching is critical. Knowing your assets is critical. Once you've done those foundational steps, though, you're right. You need to be thinking about, how is the bad guy going to come after me? What specific bad guys are targeting me? What are the nuances to how they're going to come and attack me? And how can I proactively shore up my defenses against them? And so what we're doing, and what we're going to talk about this coming week, is a really accessible way to read through this. And again, it could be a large business with a huge security team, all the way to a small business with only one person. How can you quickly take kind of these adversary emulation products off the shelf, know which APTs are targeting you, take that specific APT emulation plan down, and then use it to assess your environment. And again, you may want to leverage that through your MSP, as MSPs could leverage those for their customer base. Companies could use those directly. You may just want to inform yourself on what bad guys are doing, what tools they're using, what techniques. So we're going to cover all those things, as well as, again, back to that threat-informed defense concept. It's not just about what are bad guys doing and let me red team myself, right? And then I red team myself again. That's all interesting, but it's not really important if it's not helping you improve your defenses. And so we'll definitely focus a lot on the defensive aspect. I'm excited about it, and definitely excited to get questions from the MSPs, questions from people out in the community. It always helps enrich my understanding and helps us understand how we can do things that are more practically useful. So excited about it.
Fantastic. Andrew, I don't know of another podcast or any other kind of event in which we have someone speaking to MSPs specifically on a topic like this. I mean, this is really novel. So Forrest, thank you so much for being willing to join us. Those of you that are listening, we can't wait to see you on the CyberCall. And Andrew, I'm going to turn it back over to you.
Hey, Wes, you shorted up really good. I just want to thank Forrest and again, ask everybody to show up because they are going to learn a ton. Thank you, Forrest, and we'll look forward to seeing you on Monday.
Thanks, man. Appreciate both your time.